In this video, we'll show you the functions of the Cardinal PSU G2 Mule, as well as attaching and unattaching from containers, loading and unloading containers from the trailer, and securing both the container and the mule to the trailer for transport. This is a walk around of our Cardinal PSU G2 Mule. The mule is equipped with a manual start here. Here's the choke if needed. Here's the manual throttle. And we also have lights for operating in the dark and strobe lights for easier visibility on a street side. When unattached to the container, you can stand on the mule to drive like this, but when you're attached to the container, you will need to use the remote control to operate the machine for visibility and safety reasons. There's two latches here to remove the rear hood access panel. Open the latches, grab the handle, and pull it out. Inside, you'll see a spare belt, a fuse panel with a fuse diagram. This is a hydraulic filter that needs changed every 400 hours. Here's the control module. If you have more questions or need troubleshooting, please talk to our tech support. Here's the external hydraulic filter. This gets changed every 100 hours. Please refer to owner's manual for details. Here's the hydraulic oil reservoir tank with a clear gauge on the outside so you can ensure that you have plenty of fluid. Also, here we have a diagram that shows the grease points for servicing. The machine should be greased every 10 hours. For your safety, the mast float lock switch and fifth wheel lock pin must always be in the lock position while unattached to the storage container. When the mast lock is in its locked position, the mast stays secure and cannot flop or drift. When the fifth wheel lock pin is switched to the unlocked position, the mast can flop sideways, making it very hazardous to operate. The mast float lock switch is here, and when unlocked, the mast can float sideways like this. But while attached to the container, it is important that this be in the unlocked position to allow the mast to float with the container. You can start the engine two ways. One is you can turn the key and manually start it, or you can start it with the remote. Turn the key to the on position and start it using the engine enable button and the engine start switch. When the remote is powered on, it deactivates all the controls on the mule. All the controls here become inoperable when this remote is powered on. The functions on the mule match what's on the remote. This is left wheel forward and back, as well as right forward and back, same as here. These functions match these functions. The only functions on the machine that are not deactivated when the remote is powered on is the manual throttle, the choke, and the key. The two switches here are for the tail wheel up and down and the T-bar up and down, same as on the remote. Here's the 2-speed switch, high and low, as well as here, high and low. The mast, float, and lock switch is right here. This switch on the machine should always be in the locked position when operating the remote. The joystick operates the mast. Pull it back to send the mast up. Push the joystick forward, put the mast down. Left and right on the joystick tilts the mast left and right, and that's both on the remote and on the machine. The float switch must be in the locked position to do that. This is the emergency switch button. If something happens, hit the switch. It will deactivate and stop the machine. To deactivate the switch, give it a quarter turn and it will pop up. The mule will not start with the e-stop engaged. So now we have the forks in the fork pockets and it's very important to turn the machine as well as the remote off before attaching the chain to the container. Otherwise you'll bend over and happen to hit controls. Okay, the next step is to release the chain binder that loosens the chain that hooks up to the container. Then take the hook and attach it to the D-ring, and then pull this down. Then take the ratchet and ratchet it tight. Then put the ratchet back in the locked position. There's an additional safety chain that hooks on top of that. Now with the container secured to the mule, we'll raise these T-bar arms to distribute the weight across the mast. Now we're ready to raise the T-bar, so we'll turn the key on and start the engine. To do that, we'll turn the remote on, hit the engine enable button, and engine start. We'll raise the T-bar to close to the top of the container. The Cardinal PSU G2 machine is equipped with a weight indicator. The box should be lifted up where the arrow matches with the top of the cylinder. This will give you a close estimation of how much weight is in the container. On the dash, you can hit the button for weight indicator, and this gauge will give you an approximate weight. This can help you know if your load will be too heavy if the container is overloaded. Now we'll need to put the mast on float so that the container can move with the contour of the ground. Then we'll need to unlock the 5th wheel pin to allow the mule to turn freely for maneuvering. Now we'll need to raise up the tail wheel to prepare for moving. Putting in the dollies is simple. Simply guide the nose tube right into the receiver tube, and that can be adjusted up or down by the crank or simply lifting up the dolly and working it in. Take this pin and drop it right through the nose tube into the container. This secures the dolly to the container. Now we'll simply raise the container off the ground by cranking counterclockwise, usually 10 to 15 cranks. As the dollies approach the ramp, the operator stands here to line up the container with the trailer. Snug the dolly wheels all the way to the front of the trailer. When the container is all the way up against the front, we're going to drop the back down onto the trailer. We'll drop the mast until the T-bar pulls away from the top of the container. Then we'll drop the T-bar. To do this, we'll have to switch the mast off of float again. Now we'll lower the tail wheel for transport. After the container is loaded, make sure to remove the key to reduce the risk of losing it during transport. To get ready for transport, we'll raise the ramps and use the bar to lock them in place, and use a little safety pin to secure it. Now we'll attach the forward tension strap. We'll release the ratchet, pull the strap out and hook it. And now we'll pull it tight. This keeps the container from shifting back at all during transit. Here's the bar to operate the ratchets on the side. The front strap is on a slide. You may not need that much, but depending on the brand of the box, the position varies some. Release the latch, pull it out, go around the base, and then hook back to the chain. Make sure that the oval ring at the end of the strap is positioned correctly with the wide part at the bottom. Flip the lever down on the side into the lock position and tighten the strap, first by hand, then with the bar. The rear strap is on a longer slide so that you can secure a 20-foot or 16-foot or 12-foot container. To unattach from the container, make sure the 5th wheel pin is locked and then drop the mast. Then drop the tail wheel and turn the machine off. First, we'll release the chain and unattach it. We'll hook it back into its position on the mule and tighten the ratchet. Also unhook the safety chain. Move the mast float lock switch to the locked position. Now we'll start the machine and lower the T-bar. Next we'll lower the side arms. And now the mule's ready to pull away from the container. Now we'll demonstrate how to load and secure the mule on an empty trailer. Slide the forks into the fork pockets and then raise the latch. Use the pin to secure the handle in place. The dolly latch system flips up and then locks into position automatically. It cannot be released until the little lever is raised and the latch is released. Secure the dollies with the same pin that you used to attach them to the container. Thanks for watching a Cardinal instructional video.